All right, this is day 2 of Evil Clutches. We're looking at, we're going to take a look at the game to see what we've completed so far, and then we're going to take the next step. I always like to run the game when I'm just about to start coding, just to see what it does already. Make sure that it's still working. Evil. Is that the one? Yeah, that's semester 2. Evil Clutches. I'm going to switch to light mode, I guess, because it's a little bit easier to see on videos when I do that. So I can go in here and under General Settings. There's 2 different setups. You can be light or dark. I feel light today. I have to restart to do that. So let me switch it so we can see this a little bit better. Ah, much better. Let there be light. Okay, so this is what light mode looks like in GameMaker. And then I can do my evil. All right, so here's our game. Where did we leave it? Yeah, I think we're on the demons, and when the demons intersect the boundary, we want them to change direction, at least vertically. So we see that. We've got that working. There's no interaction between the demons and the mother dragon. So that's ends the game, actually. It's supposed to end the game when the demon touches the mother dragon. And then the babies come across every once in a while. And what we have to do is when the babies come across, and that's a little fast, then we have to catch them, and we have to keep track of the score somehow. But the question is, where do we show the score? That's going to be hard. Okay. Save the babies. Okay, so that's where we are right now. And you'll note that the game is really kind of squashed. Let me show you why. Okay. We need a little bit more space. But let's say if you're playing this game, you want to create a collision event between the mother dragon and the demon. Now, when you do collision events, you have a choice. You can either do it from the mother dragon's point of view, or you can do it from the demon's point of view. Since the main character that you're controlling is the object dragon, the mother dragon, then perhaps that's the best place to put this. So I'm going to open up object dragon. You can see our dragon here. And we're going to add a collision event. This is our first collision event. So we go to collision. And we are already object dragon, so we're trying to collide with or define what happens when the demon collides with the dragon. So I say demon here. What should happen when the demon collides with the dragon? Okay, so we're in the dragon, we're in the object dragon. In the event that the demon collides with it, what do we want to happen? Well, like I said, this game is pretty draconian. You basically just lose instantly. That's a little abrupt, but if you say game here, that's restart game, exit game. Yeah, so exit game, that just gets you out of the game completely. All right, so again, just to review, we're here in the dragon. We've got the collision event. What do we want to happen? We're saying just end the game. Boy, that's pretty brutal. There's no lives. You just lose, right? But now, if you play the game, you find out that, boy, this game just became a lot harder. Oh, okay, there's a baby. There's another baby. Where's the demon? So if the demon touches me, notice my game ends. There's no message. There's nothing. It just ends. But we're going to work on game endings and other games, so we're not going to concern ourselves too much with the game ends. Now, if it really bothers you, and you want to put up a little message to say you lose, or if you want to restart the game, you can do that. There's another one here called restart. Right now we have no weaponry, so we can't fire back at the demons. Another thing that might bother you, well, the dragon can leave the room. See there? I can just hang out here and nothing's going to hit me. I won't save any babies, but I won't. And another problem is the hitboxes are huge, right? Like if I, for example, if I play the game, what's a hitbox is a good question, I suppose. So here's I'm just waiting for a demon, right? See right there. They're not really colliding when the collision happens. The collision event gets triggered almost when the two boxes around the pictures overlap. Okay. So let's look at that. Where do you define how big your hitbox is? That's what it's called, a hitbox. Or another term I've heard, and the one they use here in this software is called a collision mask. So if we look at Sprite Dragon, it's a huge sprite. It's really big. But we can look at the collision mask and notice that the collision mask for the dragon is the entire square. So when it's trying to see if it's colliding with something else, it's using not the picture of the dragon, but this box, basically. This whole box here is your collision mask. That seems a little bit too big, right? But you have some other options here. You can say, well, I don't want full image, but I can make it like maybe a diamond? Yeah, that seems wrong. Maybe an ellipse, okay? That's a little nicer because it cuts the corners off. So if you have a demon that has overlapping thing here, it's not going to cause a collision until you overlap in this gray area right here. Now, notice it says slow because it takes a lot more math to figure out if there's a collision in this ellipse than it does just a box. Boxes are easy. Circles and ellipses are slow, but we only have one of these, and these are fast computers, so maybe we just go with that. Okay, so that's maybe our collision mask. That'll give us a little bit more wiggle room, and then we also might want to do that on the demon as well. Right now, if we look at the collision mask on the demon sprite, let me zoom out a bit so we can see it. We look, and it's a little smaller, but it still has some pretty sharp corners. So, so maybe for this one we do the same thing. We say ellipse. Yeah. Because that takes more computing power. And if you say you had 100 demons on the screen, then you'd have to think to yourself, well, that's going to be a ton more for the processor to do, so the game might be laggy. Let's just put it that way. There aren't. So yeah, you can say precise if you like. If you want to match the sprite exactly, then you can do that. I'm trying to be nice to the computer so it doesn't have to do so much work. Okay, so now when I play the game, I'm able to get a little closer to the demons and not trigger a collision event. That's what these collision masks are for. See, if I'm right here, that's still a little small, but hopefully it's a little bit easier to avoid these big circle-y blobby things. Okay, oops. Okay, so here, yeah, see, I'm able to hang out a little bit closer, like right there. I didn't cause a collision because I was able to cut that corner. Okay, so maybe use these for your collision mask, but play around with it. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can do that. There is no really right way. You're the game maker. You're the person making the game, so you can make your own choices, right? What you want this game to do. Another problem we're not really thinking of because you don't see it is, we're talking about giving the computer less to do. Once the demon goes off screen, you don't care about it anymore. It's off screen and it's just floating around in, I don't know, La La Land. And same thing with the babies. If they go off screen, are you ever going to see them again? No. Well, what's happening in the background is the computer is keeping track of that object, where it is, and it moves it to a new location. And it does all this extra processing for this object you're never going to see again. One of the things we need to do with both the babies and the demons is if they get off screen, we need to destroy them. Or a better way to say it, we need them to destroy themselves. We need the objects to destroy themselves because we don't want the computer doing stuff that doesn't matter anymore. It's off screen. Why does it do that? Well, it thinks maybe later you're going to move the camera and maybe zoom out a whole big way, and then you'll be able to see it, But we want the demons and the babies to destroy themselves when they go off screen. So let's do that first with the demons, since there's more of those. Here we have intersect boundary, but there's another one under the other tab where you can say outside room. So once it's outside the room, the question is, does the whole thing have to be outside the room? Yes. I would think so. If it disappears right when it touches the edge of the room, then we would think that wouldn't work. But maybe the whole thing has to be gone. So here, what do we want to do when the demon goes outside the room? The answer is we want it to destroy itself. So these are a bunch of suicidal demons. And you got a couple things in here. You say destroy a position, but this is the one we want. Destroy instance. Remember the word instance means object. This is an object, so destroying. And then see right here, there's this little triangle. You click on that, and you say it asks what you want to apply it to. And we say self. That means this object, which means the demon, this demon. We don't want to destroy all the demons. If you choose object demons, it'll destroy all the demons. You just want to say this one. So you just say self. It's already set to that. That's the default. But just make sure that's set to self. And then do the same thing with the baby, right? When the baby goes off screen, you want to do the same thing. So you go outside a room. If it's outside the room, then the babies are also just supposed to destroy themselves, which is bad. Suicidal babies is bad too. So, okay. So now when you play the game, you will notice no difference at all. Okay, but if you play this game for about a half an hour and you have hundreds of thousands of babies and demons, you might notice it slow down a bit because it's trying to keep track of all those demons and all those babies, and it gets slower and slower as you play. Boy, I'm rolling the dice here, and it's like. Now the game's way too easy because you can go off screen, right? So that's not good. You just hang out there and then save some babies. Okay, so for me that really bothers me. In the original game they say don't worry about it, and I go I worry about it. Okay, I don't want it to be able to go outside the room. Okay, so what do I do? Well, novice game programmer would put a wall above and below the dragon to keep it in the room. But you don't need to do that. You can just do that with a little bit of math. And so let's take a look at the dragon's control keys. Because we only want to let it move up when it's not at the edge of the room, or not at the top already. So here right now what we're doing is we're just going, okay, we're setting the direction, and then we're going up at a speed of 8. Basically, we're jumping at 8 pixels at a time, moving up. It looks like it's moving smoothly, but it's only moving 8 pixels at a time in little chunks. But it fools the brain into thinking it's actually moving. Okay, so we don't want to move if we're not close, or if we're too close to the top. So we have to ask a question. Okay. And so what's the question? See right here, it says if variable. So we're going to ask this question. Put it on top. Notice how it highlights the top of this box. You want to put that right above it. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good question. We are in the dragon's up button. Okay, so it's a dragon. When we press the up button, we're trying to see if we're too close to the top to move anymore. So we're going to say if well, our variable is y, right? We have x and y coordinates in this game. The problem is GameMaker's y is upside down. If you know math class, down here at the bottom left corner, if you're in the first quadrant, that 0, 0 is down here, and y grows positive from there, right? That's 0 for y, that's 5, that's 10, and it grows that way. And x grows positive from left to right, like say if you're doing Cartesian coordinates. But for some reason, when you're doing computer games, almost invariably, especially 2D games like this, they start counting y up here. The origin's at the top left corner of the screen. And when you add to x, it just like in math class, it goes to the right. But when you add to y, it actually goes down. So y is upside down from what you might be used to in math class, right? Y is upside down. So you have to keep that in mind when you do these little equations. You say if y is, I would say, if y is greater than or equal to greater than or equal to 8. If it's 8 pixels from the top of the screen, if it's greater than that or equal to that, then let them move. But if they're any closer to the top of the screen, then don't let them go. Okay, don't let them move. So, but now right now this if statement isn't controlling anything. We want it to control these two things. So we have to drag these to the right of the if statement. You might have to do it twice like I had to do there. See how the right side of that if statement highlights? This is a little border. We don't want it underneath. We want it to the right of it. And that will make this if statement control the setting of the directions. But we also want to set the speed as well. So we, again, attach that to the bottom of that one so that this if statement controls these two statements. So the only way you'll be able to run these two statements here, changing the direction to up and going up, is if the current or y position of the dragon is greater than or equal to 8. If it's less than 8, then it's not going to let you move any more up the screen. Let's see if that actually works. Okay. Oh, it didn't work. See that? It just blasted right through. So why did it blast right through? Well, we didn't put the other action that we need. We needed to stop. Okay, we didn't stop it. We just said we couldn't make it go, but we didn't say, hey, we need to stop. So the way you do that is you look here and see this one that says else. You want to put that at the bottom of the if statement. So this is what to do in the case where it's not greater than or equal to 8. Or another way to say that is when it's less than 8. What do we want to do when it's less than 8? Well, we want to set speed to 0, right? We want it not to move. So pull that to the right of the else statement. Set speed. See that one? So this is what we do in the case where it's not greater than or equal to. And we want to set the speed to 0. The direction doesn't matter because we're stopping. So now when we play the game gets a lot harder. So I go, see, I can't go off the top of the screen anymore. Okay, I can still go off the bottom of the screen because I haven't said anything about down yet. But, ooh, this game came really difficult really quickly. Yeah, just barely. Ooh, can't. Oof, that was close. So I'm just hanging out down here because I can't even get in the room. Okay, here I am. Touch babies. But I can't. I can still go off the bottom. So we still have to do the down key, right? But this game is getting really hard, really quickly. Yeah, question, guy. What was that? Oh, this is the up key for the dragon. We're kind of looking before we leap. We say, okay, are we close to the top of the screen? Because if we are, we need to stop moving. Even if they hit the up key, I'm just going to ignore it and set the speed to 0. Okay? Okay? So that's our y coordinate. Remember, y is upside down. The origin of the screen is up here in the top left corner. 0, 0 is up here. Y grows positive down. So y is upside down. Okay. So now we do the down key. The down key would be the opposite of this, right? You would think. But it's a little bit more tricky, unfortunately. So we go to the down key and we say, okay, well, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to ask a question. So I'm going to put that here on the down key. Another if. What variable are we concerned about? Well, it's the same variable. It's the y-coordinate, the vertical coordinate. So we say y. Every object has an x and y coordinate. So we have this variable y. And then we said greater than or equal to, so we're going to flip it over, and we're going to say less than or equal to. And then here we would say, we'll use a predefined variable. See these built-in variables? There's one called room height. That's the one we want to use, room height. And we're going to say room height minus 8. Because we want it to work just like the top of the room. Okay? And if that's the case, then we want these two things to be controlled by that. So again, drag this to the right. You have to drag up and then to the right to drop it. And then attach this to the bottom of that one. Okay? So it takes a while to get used to this way of dragging and dropping. Yeah, question? Oh, the dragon doesn't move. Okay, so if y is less than or equal to room height minus 8, then we set the direction to 8. So does that make sense? We set the direction, we say 8. If it's less than, yeah, I don't know. Did you put an else in it already? Oh, you did? It got stuck. Okay, so probably, you're saying the up key is not working? Okay, so let's look at up again. Sometimes if you get these backwards, see, both of these have to be controlled by the shifting. Does it say greater than or equal to? And it says 8? Did you say y or x? Y? Y, okay. Yeah, so these have to be connected like this. So this green line and these two things. Then else, it's probably doing this one every time. So make sure this is controlled by that. So make sure to drag this to the right of the else, not after the else. Was that it? Yeah, yeah. So because what was happening is it was stopping it every time instead of just in that otherwise case. Cool. Okay, so we're going back then to, we're looking back at the down key, right? So the down key, we still have to do our else part, okay? So we have our true part. When this is true, we do this stuff. But what happens when it's not true? When it's greater than room height minus 8. So we say else, drag the else on and put it on the bottom of this if statement. See how it puts it there? So there's else. And then what do we want to do? Just like the other one, we just want to stop. So recently used. So I'm going to set the speed. Make sure to drag it to the right of the else. So it's controlled by that else. And then set the speed to 0. However, when we do this, you'll note that it doesn't really work. Okay? And you might be puzzled by that. Because, well, it worked on the other side. Why doesn't it work on this side? It kind of works. I go down here. I still go off screen, right? But I'm right there. I can hold down the down arrow for a half an hour. You'd figure I'd be moving through empty space for a long time. But I'm just below the screen. Right. Yeah, the origin of the sprite here is the top left corner. So that's what it uses for position on this dragon. So we have to take into account the height of the sprite as well to keep it in the room. Because if we look at our dragon sprite, this is an important point to recognize. The origin is 0, 0, which is the top left. It's up here. Okay. So when we say, well, what's the y-coordinate of the dragon? It's the top left corner of the dragon we're talking about. And y, in that case, would be 0, I guess. It's not the middle of the dragon or the bottom of the dragon. We coded it like it was the bottom of the dragon, but we have to take this into account as well. The height of this sprite. Well, how big is this sprite? We can see that the sprite is 150, right? So what we could do then is we could say, what could we say? Yeah, I think there's a variable for it. That's what I'm thinking. So if we go to the dragon again, and we're here on the down button. We can say this for our little equation up here. We say room height minus 8 minus sprite height. There it is. Sprite height. So the height of the sprite. That sounds funny. Now, if that's the case, I think this will work. We'll see. Yeah, it keeps me in the room. But now the game is really, really hard. Especially without fireballs. So hard, okay? So the game got super hard right there, okay? We're going to fix that later. But now our game is more of a challenge, right? Because we're keeping the dragon inside the room. That's a challenge. Okay, so what's that equation? Here in your down key, when you press the down key and you ask that if statement, you say room height, which is, I don't know, 640 by 480, so it'd be 480 minus 8 minus the height of the sprite, because again, the sprite's origin is the top left corner, not the bottom. So we have to subtract off the sprite height as well. So that keeps our dragon in the room. We didn't have to put any walls up. We can just use some math and keep it in the room. So that's good. All right. So our next chore then is what happens when you save a baby, right? You're saving babies here. It's good to save babies. So we need to add to our score. Now, it used to be in GameMaker that they had this score that was this global variable. You add to it, and it would automatically show you the score on the frame of the window that you're playing the game in. It doesn't have that feature anymore, unfortunately. So we have to not only keep track of the score, but somehow draw it on the screen. So we're going to do that. So first we need to keep track on it. So saving babies is a good thing, right? And you want to reward the player for saving babies. So if you save a baby, let's say the baby, you get 500 points for saving babies. That's a lot of points. Okay, so how would you say that? Well, first of all, we have to initialize our score. So when we create our dragon, I think this would be a good place for that. When our dragon gets first created, not the sprite, but the actual object, the dragon object. We don't have a create event yet for the dragon object, but what we want to say is when the dragon's created, we want to set the score to 0. We want to start at 0. And we want to create this score variable. So we say add event. So we're in the dragon again. So object dragon, we're going to add a create event. When this dragon first gets created, what do we want it to do? Well, we want to set the score. Now, GameMaker has all these score handling things already predefined. You can draw the score. We'll do that in a second. But here you can set the score, you can get the score, and you can ask a question about the score. Okay? So we're looking for the score. Let's take a look at how do we set the score. So we just drag this on, and we're setting the score to 0. Don't click relative here, because if you click relative, it'll think the score variable already exists and it's trying to add 0 to the score, and it doesn't exist yet, so it will crash. So don't click that. That creates a variable called score on the object, and we're going to keep track of the score inside the dragon. Okay, so the dragon is the one. The dragon is the one who is keeping track of the score. So here's our score. Now, the next question then is, how do we add to the score? Well, we got to add to the score when we collide with babies, right? So here we're in the dragon again. We're still on the dragon. We add a collision event between the dragon and the baby. Now, this might seem a little bit odd because when we save a baby, we have to, well, the first thing is we get 500 points, but then then we have to destroy the baby. We just saved the baby, and then we're destroying it. It just seems wrong. Okay? So how do you update the score? Well, we can type score here again. So we're in the collision event between the dragon and the baby. What do we do? Well, we set the score again, but we don't want to set it to 0. We want to add to the score. And we're going to say 500. If we don't say relative here, though, it's a problem. It will just always set the score to 500. You'll never get a score higher than 500. You want to add to it. So relative usually means add to. So make sure you say relative here. Yeah, question? Oh, that's not good. Okay, let me take a look. So we're adding 500 to the score, but the problem is we don't see the score anywhere. We can't see that we're getting any points at all for saving babies. So I saved a baby. Where's the points? There's no points, right? How can I see that? Well, we got to draw it somewhere. I think a good place to draw it, I don't know. You could do the top left corner, but it's kind of in the way. You could put it down on the bottom in the middle, maybe. So how do you draw the score? Well, the only time you can draw in GameMaker, doesn't matter what event, is the only event you can draw in is the draw event. If you draw outside of the draw event, you're not going to see it because it doesn't do anything. So we're going to add a draw event. Oh boy, this is. The reason I'm hesitating is it's going to cause a little bit of a problem. Yeah, there's a draw value, but the problem is as soon as we say we're going to use the dragon to draw it, that would be, the dragon disappears. Okay, we'll do it anyway. Okay, so we're going to say, oh, here's one, draw GUI. Let's use that one. Yeah, it's GUI. What does GUI stand for? Anybody know what GUI stands for? Yeah, graphic user interface, okay. So we're drawing not the game, we're drawing the buttons and the toolbar and whatever. So we can use that. That's a new one for GameMaker. So maybe we won't lose our dragon now. So we say draw GUI. What are we drawing? Well, we're drawing our score. Okay. So we say score. Yeah, it sounds funny. And here we're drawing the score. It'll say score for the caption. And where do we want to draw it? Well, we want to draw it in the middle of the screen on the bottom, which is 220, I don't know, I'm going to say about 180 for X, and for Y, 640, let's do 540 just for now. Don't say relative here. That would draw it relative to the dragon, and that would move around. Anytime you move the dragon, the score would move around. We don't want that. This is an absolute position on the screen. So that's where we want to draw it. But we also, in order to draw a value on the screen, we need to have a font. We haven't created a font yet. Okay. So you have to create a font. So we're over here now. We say right-click, and you say create font. Now, word of warning, this font creation screen is not very intuitive. Okay. It's actually quite terrible. Yeah, so here's this font thing. You right-click on it and say create font. We're just going to leave the name font 0 because we only have this one font in our game. We want to change, this is a boring font. I like to use, for games I like to use, it's right here. You just go to fonts over here on the right, right-click, and then say create font. Yeah, so create font. That's what we're doing. That gets us here. And then we're going to change the font to something more computer gamey. I like this one, Comic Sans. See, it looks a little bit more funny. And then we want it to be kind of big, I suppose. So maybe we bump this up to maybe 18. Okay? But we don't need all these letters. We just need the numbers. So what I would do is I would delete, like say that. I don't know why they need that. So delete that, and we're going to delete this one as well. So click on the list. This is all the letters and numbers. We don't need those either. Okay. So delete all of those, but then we're going to add a new range. So you click on the range and then you say delete. So clear them all off, and then say add. So you click on the add button. Here's the add button over here. So click on that. See the add button? Click on that. And then here's the add range. And we want to do just digits. Okay. Yeah, so again, we're in here. You get rid of all the ones that are there. You click on the range and say delete. Click on the range, say delete. And then say add. And it brings up this window. Right? And we want to do digits. Okay. Those are the ASCII values for those characters. So if you look, every character, instead of a number, it's actually the symbol. And each symbol has its own code. So those are the codes. It's actually in hexadecimal, that would be 30 to 39. It makes a little bit more sense. So 30 in ASCII is the symbol for 0. Okay, interesting. We just talked about this in computer hardware today, actually, computer hardware class. Okay, so you still haven't added it, though. You have to still say add range here, add range. And now notice that range is there, and it has all the numbers we're going to need for our score. Well, wait a second. We also have the word score. I guess we're going to need letters too. So we say add range, and here we say letters. So I guess we need the letters too, so we'll add that one as well. Add range. Now that's a little overkill. I think we could have just added the letters individually for score, but this will work. So we have uppercase letters and lowercase letters. And now we have our font. Yay. Okay, so we have a font. I'm going to close this. And now we go back to our dragon in our draw GUI event. And now we have to set the font that we want to use. So you say font. See here, set font. So you want to do that before you draw the score. So we set the font to the only font we have, which is font 0. So now we're going to use that font to draw the score. We haven't set the color of the text yet, though, so we got to do that too. So we say color. Now, they spell color funny in Britain. That's where this code comes from. So they have a U in it. But here we're trying to set the draw color. Here, set draw color. See, they got a paint bucket. So maybe do that first. And we're gonna use white. White's good, I think. We kind of have a dark cave background, so using white would be good. And that hex number there is the RGB plus brightness or transparency value for this color. All right, so hopefully when we run the game now, we'll be able to see a score on the screen. I'm not super confident, but I don't see it. Do you see it? I don't see it. Why did it not draw? I was thinking the height was 640, but the height of the screen is 480, so that's too high. So I'm going to go about 400. And we're just fudging numbers here. We don't really know. But then hopefully we'll be able to see it. So just work with the numbers here. Let's see if I get the score to increase. Oh boy, I'm not going to make it. Oh, it's so hard. This game is so hard now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Oh, there's a baby. Oh, notice my score went up to 9,500. Why did it do that? I only saved one baby. Yeah, we didn't destroy the baby when we caught it. Now, it seems strange, again, to destroy the baby as soon as you save it, but that's what you have to do here, unfortunately. Okay, so set the score to 500, but then you have to destroy it. So you say destroy. Okay. So this is really odd. I know it's evil, but we have to destroy the babies, or they continue to collide with us, and then we get buku points, right? So we have to destroy the baby. So a lot of people will do it like this. Watch what happens if I do it this way, though. It's funny. It doesn't work. Watch. Here's a baby. Ooh. What happened? The dragon disappeared. I destroyed the wrong thing. Oh, yeah, it's because probably the numbers. I had mine off screen, unfortunately, but when I destroyed the instance, I'm inside the dragon, right? See, there's the dragon. I'm inside the dragon. This destroy instance says destroy self. That will destroy the dragon. We don't want to destroy the dragon. We don't want to destroy the other thing I collided with. So here you say other. Okay. Every collision has this thing and that other thing. Okay. It has self, that's this object, and then there's that other thing you collided with. So now when I collide with the baby, I'll get 500 points, but then the baby disappears. It goes to happy baby heaven, and I only get 500 points. Okay? So that's what you want. Now, when you're drawing it, be careful. I made a mistake because I had my coordinates kind of mixed up. So here was when I was drawing it. My coordinate was too far. Mine was off screen. So if you set that to 400, that'll keep it on screen. Now, play around with these numbers to try to get it centered, okay? So I'm just trying to put it on the bottom of the screen and in the middle. I could do some fancy math here to do that, but I think I'm just going to fudge it.